Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We're going to crank up the show here momentarily with JC on the Titan MR hotline. Then we're going to be joined in the second portion of today's show by Ira Kaufman, who covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at joebucks.com. And we'll get his thoughts on Kyle Trask and everything else that the Bucks did. But first, let's go to the Titan MR hotline. We're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Hey, big week ahead. Big weekend just passed. A lot of good things happened. QB, I want to start this little segment with my Gators of the weekend, if I could do that. Am I allowed to do that this week? Today?
Sure.
Monday?
Sure. We got a new segment, JC's Gators of the Weekend. I'm sure it's going to be real difficult to figure out who they are.
Well, it doesn't matter. They need to be recognized on this award-winning global podcast, QB. So why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah. Well, who are your Gators of the Weekend?
Obviously, my first Gator of the weekend has to be Hannah Adams with what she was able to do at Missouri. Isn't it funny how they say Missouri with an I on the end? But at Missouri, Hannah Adams had some big hits, and obviously the one yesterday in the seventh inning, a 3-run homer. Tommy Lasorda used to say the reason why he made so much money managing baseball was because of the 3-run homer. And
was that Tommy Lasorda or Billy Martin?
No, actually, you know what it was? No, it was neither. I just thought
it was the guy from the Orioles.
It wasn't Earl Weaver. It was before Tommy Lasorda.
Earl Weaver. It was
Walter Alston. Alston said that, and he was the Dodgers manager before Tommy Lasorda. And I would guess Earl Weaver would agree with that with Eddie Murray and people like that. But the 3-run homer, man, got Tim Wright this weekend. The Gators got out of there with just a huge win. Missouri's a tough, scrappy team. I didn't see them as being a big threat to Florida, but they could play. And
they're
Florida
ranked 15th in the country,
yeah,
Coach.
So I didn't know. I didn't really know. Look, when you're doing SEC this or that in the baseball and softball lands, you think of about the top 10 teams, and the rest of them are the rest of them. But you're right, Missouri. And then when we talk about Florida baseball, my particular Gator of the weekend in that one is Jack Leftwich. And I love the way he came in and shut down Vanderbilt, especially in the ninth inning there, pitching multiple innings for relief for Florida. And I heard something about, I don't guess it was about a month or so ago, where Coach O'Sullivan or somebody in the Gator baseball world, may have been Big Red that told me this, I don't know, but they couldn't figure out if this team really cared a lot, or if not that they didn't care, but what got them excited. And I think having Vanderbilt come in town got their attention and got them excited to play. And not that they haven't been excited to play, but I think I saw for the first time some really, really strong emotion from the team, especially a guy like Jack Leftwich, who came in and just looked like Goose Gossage out there. So that is a huge win for Florida baseball. It has gotten people's attention that the Gators are not dead yet, that they should be ranked in the top 10 after this weekend, and certainly will be. And we are on our way to a very pivotal month in baseball. May is, there's 2 M months. There's March and then there's May. May is the big one. And this is where they're going to get themselves in position for a big postseason.
Yeah, Lady Gators were no hit leading into the 5th inning. And then, as you mentioned, Hannah Adams hit the go-ahead 3-run homer to win that series. And baseball basically destroyed Al Leiter's son, Jack Leiter, on Saturday and win Game 3 to win the series.
Huge.
They're only 1 game back of Vanderbilt right now.
That's right.
So
yes, they are.
They're sitting in good position right now. Some other things that happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the FCF playoffs, JC?
I didn't see it, but I saw James Madison playing yesterday, and I thought to myself, what is going on here? May and football in May. I like this. I liked it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like
Sam
it.
Houston.
Yeah.
Sam Houston beat the Bison, or however they pronounce it out there, of North Dakota State. They're done. So that happened. Also down in the St. Pete area at Innisbrook, Sam Burns wins his first
That was
PGA Tour
great.
event.
I
Played
loved watching
outstanding at
that.
17 under. I win
Love
the
that.
Peachland Dentistry weekend pick. My man Victor
Yeah.
Hovland shot
Yes, he
13
did.
under par, and they head to Charlotte to play a course I've played a ton, Quail Hollow, there for the Wells Fargo, which is a very difficult golf
Why
course.
aren't you getting a sponsors exemption for that since you played it so much?
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm just going to show up Thursday from Quail Hollow before I tee
Well,
off
I
and do
mean,
the podcast.
I was
How
thinking
about that?
today, Monday qualifier. I mean, get on up there. But
Well, if I got a
think,
sponsors exempt, I don't need to qualify.
well, that's true. But you need to practice. But I do think that
Practice is so overrated in golf.
I think Sam Adams. Did I just say Sam Adams? Sam Burns. Sam Adams is a beer. Sam Burns.
He also was a 335-pound nose guard from Texas A&M that played for the Seahawks and the Buffalo Bills.
Why was I? Yes, yeah, he was. But this Sam Burns kid is a rising star. Wasn't he partners with Billy Horschel?
Yes.
A week ago. So I thought I've heard his. So they had a good team event last week, and then this past weekend he wins his first ever PGA Tour event, gets a 2-year exemption, gets into the Masters, gets into a lot of the U.S. Open, and I think that it's so much more fun watching for me first time winners on that tour because of how emotional it gets for them. And he was certainly that way with his entire family and his wife and everybody behind him on the green as he finished it up. And, Keegan Bradley played well. And it's too bad he hit the ball in the water, right there at Snake Pit. And that double bogey ended it for him. So, I mean, did you watch any of that final round, QB?
I watched a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, so Sam...
The hole that he hit the ball in the water is not actually considered part of the snake.
Oh, but it's the par 3 though. It's that par 3 on the back.
Yeah. Line. So he's an LSU Tiger. Congratulations to Sam Burns.
Yeah, Sam Burns.
JC, I know Saturday evening you got dressed up in your Pin Seeker sport coat and you put on a hat and you watched the Kentucky Derby, didn't you?
That's probably that, and the Indy 500 are two of the big sport events that I have absolutely zero interest in. And I guess it's because to me it's more about being there and being seen. Not one person's going to remember who won the race if he doesn't win the Preakness in 2 weeks. So, or 3, or whenever they have that.
I watched a little bit of it, and the only reason did you the story about Hot Rod Charlie, right?
No.
Okay. So Hot Rod Charlie came in third. He was 5-1, but he is owned by 5 former Brown football players that are all about 25 years old. They pitched in after they wanted to stay connected after they graduated from Brown and playing football. They bought this horse named Hot Rod Charlie, and he came in third and won them about $500,000, I guess. I
cool.
was in third place.
Oh,
it's awesome. I mean, being a part of a team and doing stuff like that, I just think that's a tremendous story because you got all these multi-millionaires, the Bob Bafferts of the world that win every year that they've trained horses their whole life. These 5 guys, after they graduate from Brown, say, hey, we're going to buy us a horse. And their horse had a chance to win the damn Kentucky Derby.
Right. And so that reminds me of a story that happened about 10 or 15 years ago. And I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but Mine That Bird came from last on the back stretch. This is my biggest Kentucky Derby moment, for us this morning. He came from last and ended up in first by going through the rail on the inside. And they made a movie called 50-1. Go ahead and pull it up and watch it. It's a true story about a guy in Texas who was basically a drunk and ended up training this horse. And for a Canadian wealthy guy, I think he's Canadian. Anyway, that horse was a 50-1 long shot, and he won the Kentucky Derby. His name was Mine That Bird. And he also, I think, either won the Preakness or Belmont and finished second in the other. So that's kind of cool. And if Charlie wins the Preakness, then I'll say, well, that's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
right, so,
to me, the racing thing is just every year it's different. I guess it's good. I don't know. It just happens. 2 minutes of, okay, there it goes. There it's over. And now we just take our hats and our dresses and our shirts and our outfits, and it's all great. It's all great, but we put them in the closet for another year. So
well, you can't wear the same outfit the next year, JC.
I guess
I know you
can.
do that, but you can't do that.
I guess you could wear it for something
Sandy
else.
says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. So will Urban hire Tebow to increase the already present height? I'm on record saying there is no way Tim Tebow does anything for the Jacksonville Jaguars. My reasonings are, A, he ain't good enough to play tight end in that league. Ben Troop did an interview with Buddy Martin the other day, and Ben Troop just went off about how it's like, because he's basically said he was disrespecting the position of playing tight end. It's true though. I mean, he can't play tight. I mean, we could all be proven wrong, but if he would have tried tight end, maybe when they tried to make him a tight end, 6 years ago? Yeah. Maybe so. But I'm just telling you, I don't think there's any way possible. Plus, here's the other thing. They really don't have any legitimate – I don't know who's on the tight ends on the roster, but here's the thing, JC. He's going to have to cut him, and I don't think Urban's going to want to cut Tebow. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then people say, well, he can be in the front office. Whatever. Tim makes too much money and has too many other things going on to be a part of a professional organization, because – it's not like you just show up when you want to. I mean, he's got to be there every freaking day. So he's got way too much other stuff. Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, Ben Troop had some very great points in that interview. And I think people should look it up, because it's nothing against Tim. It's just the facts are the facts. And I just don't think there's any way they sign him. And Sandy says it would be just for ticket sales. They don't need to sell tickets anymore. That place is sold out with Trevor Lawrence.
That's great to see and hear. They could get that plastic off the upper deck. Speaking of the draft, the SEC was the only conference, QB, where every school had a draft pick. That's kind of neat. You had Arkansas and Vanderbilt at least get one picked, and then Alabama had 10, Georgia had 9, and Florida had 8. So I'll tell you who I'm really happy for is, and we talked about this last week, but the Giants with Kadarius Toney, I think is going to be interesting to watch. It gives me a reason to watch that boring-ass team, the Giants. And then you have states where the most players, I'm reading this tweet from David Wilson. He says, states with the most players picked in the 2021 NFL draft. Hey, the first two, okay? And between Florida and Texas, you had 70 players picked in the NFL draft. Give me the third and fourth state. You should be able to do this pretty easily.
California
was third. And, I'm sorry, they were fourth. California was fourth with 19.
Georgia
was third with 21. And I misquoted you on that number. Florida had this guy considers Florida 2 states, South Florida and North Florida. Florida
it's like 2 different worlds.
Yeah, South Florida had 17 picks. Broward County alone had 12. 12 out of Broward County. I knew there was a reason why we couldn't beat Broward is Fort Lauderdale, but it doesn't matter. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, you get the picture. South Florida. Georgia had 21 players picked. The great Big Ten area had Ohio with 9, Michigan with 8, and Pennsylvania with 8. So between those 3 states, you didn't even come to half of between, I guess, Florida and Georgia.
We're speaking with JC on the Titan MR hotline. We'll be joined by Albert Kaufman from JoeBucksFan.com talking about Kyle Trask and the Tampa Bay Bucks. We got a text on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Ryan. He says, happy Monday, gents. I know I'm just preaching to the choir with the following Brent Beard nuggets, but it's fun to brag on the SEC. SEC's had the most draft picks, 65 for the 15th straight year, and all 14 schools had one player drafted, as you mentioned. No other conference can claim that. And the next time you and JC have one of your golf weekend escapades and want to win a bet at the bar, ask one of your buddies the last time your New Orleans Saints drafted a QB in the first round.
Oh.
The answer is Archie Manning in 1971.
Okay.
And Archie's boys completed Hall of Fame careers since the last time your Saints took a QB in the first round. Mind-boggling stat. Thanks for the
That
So
is.
back to the draft, JC.
All right.
We'll talk more about with Trask going to Tampa. I think it's a good fit for him.
I think
we'll see
so.
what happens. Here's what
Was it what round
I'm
again?
second. He was the last pick of the second round.
Yeah,
And
second round.
I thought he was going to be a third round pick. Was my prediction. If it'd been one more pick, I would have been correct, but I was wrong.
Okay.
I think it's a good spot for him. They got on their roster, obviously, Brady, Blaine Gabbert, and him. Now Trask, and I'm not sure who else. Trask will wear number 2 for the Bucks, and we'll see how that works out. Here's some interesting things. Obviously, Dylan Moses, the great linebacker from Alabama, did not get drafted. Jamie Newman didn't. I feel sorry for the guy, but he didn't get drafted after opting out, leaving Georgia. Trey Smith, who was the number 1 overall pick in the top offensive lineman a few years back that signed with Tennessee, barely got drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah.
And then Trey Grimes at Florida. I was not surprised that Trey Grimes didn't get drafted. I think he's got a chance to make a roster on special teams, but he's a little stiff. And I know a lot of Gator fans.
Philadelphia?
Yeah, Brian Johnson, who's the quarterback coach up there, obviously.
Well, that's good. And Moses.
Were you surprised Dylan Moses?
I wasn't. I was because he had so much hype and he was such a really big prospect, and he did play a lot at Alabama. But that ACL injury is such a tough thing. And even though he played last year, the word was he was really hurting a lot after pretty much every game he played last year. So quite a debilitating thing happening to him. And it happened to him in practice 2 years ago, or a practice a year ago. And it was just so unfortunate for that kid. But he did sign a free agent deal with Jacksonville. And, that's better than nothing, QB. I mean, they're going to give him $100,000 with a $15,000 signing bonus and say good luck. So what would you rather do?
They're going to wait. They're going to do what?
I think he gets he got $100,000, or maybe I was reading that about some other guy that went free agency. But
no free agent got $100,000 signing bonus.
No, I did read that. Carolina Panthers, actually. It wasn't Dylan Moses. It was a Carolina Panther that did, but that got
free agent got $100,000 signing bonus.
I'll send you the tweet. No, it was $100,000 salary with a $15,000 signing bonus as a free agent in Carolina.
No. That had to be a typo.
I just read it.
Because a free agent, he doesn't know what his salary is going to be. He's going to sign a minimum salary, which is probably going to be $200,000 or $300,000.
Just telling you what I read. And look, I thought it was Dylan Moses. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get Carolina and Jacksonville mixed up. That's bad on my part. But it was a player that was drafted that was picked in free agency by the Carolina Panthers. And I looked at that and I said, I didn't know these guys make that kind of money if they're signed as a free agent.
Their signing bonuses are going to be about maybe $20,000.
$15,000.
Their salary could be up to $300,000 if they make the roster. $100,000. I've never heard of that low of a salary in the NFL. Is my point.
Again, free agency, and maybe you haven't heard about it.
I was a free agent, JC. I was a free agent,
right?
And back in 1993,
very different
I made the roster, and my salary was like $285,000.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. The minimum salary,
that they're lower
for a rookie has to be over $300,000.
Well, not today, QB. Listen,
yes, I guarantee you.
I know, but the money that kids get today. It's much different than what it was back when you played in the 90s.
So they're making a lot more.
Sam Bradford would never have gotten $50 million ever.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Their minimum salaries. If the minimum is set for a rookie to a third-year player at say $300,000, he cannot make less than that. He can make more, but he's guaranteed that. And my point is, there's no way the minimum salary in the NFL right now for a first-year player is $100,000. There's no way in the world. That's what I'm saying. That is wrong. We're going to have somebody.
Okay.
See, John says the minimum is like $300,000. That's my point.
Well, I'm just reading you what. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That guy's wrong.
Okay. Well, I don't know why he's wrong.
You know what the coaches tell you, JC, when you're sitting and don't believe everything you read. Are you tired of living with chronic joint pain? There are new breakthrough treatments at QC Kinetics here in North Central Florida not only alleviate your pain, they speed up the healing process. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's our good friends at QC Kinetics. JC, I know you live in pain. You may need to go.
Oh, no. I'm good. I use the Osteo Biflex. When I go down and read that putt I'm about to make, my knees don't crack. They don't hurt. It's beautiful. I love it.
So let me ask you this. The Rams, who did they pick in the first round?
I couldn't tell you any of these guys. I don't know any of them. I've never heard of any of them. I have no idea what the Rams are doing.
The first round pick for the Rams.
They didn't have a first round pick. They
the second round.
Second.
Who was
it? In the late second. Again, I don't know. Is Chris Garrett or somebody like that?
No, here's why I'm asking you. I want to say they picked a very well-known wide receiver. You don't even follow your team.
Oh, Louisville. The kid from Louisville.
Right, Tutu Atwell.
Kid from Louisville. Tutu Atwell. That's right.
My point is they have Cooper Huff.
Cooper Kupp.
They have it's Monday morning. They have
obliterating this show. I'm giving Dylan Moses money he doesn't even have.
Okay, they got Cooper. They got
Robert
Van
Woods.
Jefferson.
And Robert Woods. And they have Tutu Atwell. And
I guess my point is I feel like they have too many receivers. Somebody's going to get cut.
Well, maybe. I think they got to get Stafford whatever he needs, right? And there's another guy, Josh McDonald or somebody. Anyway, the Rams are just, they traded away all their first round picks for big free agent signings. And they had to pay Aaron Donald. They had to pay Jalen Ramsey. Now they're paying Matt Stafford and a couple of offensive linemen. They lost their center to Philadelphia, but they really did, try to win it in 1 year with, I guess, a bunch of superstars. They came close, but they only scored 3 in the Super Bowl. So by doing that, they tried. It didn't work. Todd Gurley was on his way out, but they overpaid him. Jared Goff, they overpaid him to try to win that Super Bowl, and they paid for it with draft picks. But they're still going to be very competitive in the NFC West, and in all likelihood could be the favorite to win. I mean, with Seattle and San Francisco.
With Matt Stafford there's no
and then, you've got that defense still. It's just still really strong. So I think they'll be fine. But, as a season ticket holder at SoFi Stadium and a seat owner, I believe that.
But you don't know who's on your roster. You're a great fan.
I don't even know if the state of California is going to even let me in the stadium. So I don't know a lot of things about that.
Nat asked here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Do I think Felipe Franks will get cut by Atlanta or make the roster permanent? Here's the thing. I have no idea until he goes and performs.
Yeah.
All I know is they have They have Matt Ryan. They just signed A.J. McCarron to be their backup. So I think it's a great – I don't know who else they have on the roster, but Felipe has the skill set that he could make the roster. And again, you got to remember, when it comes to making rosters, it's all numbers crunching.
Yeah.
Is a certain guy making too much money? So, but you look at the Chicago Bears, JC, their quarterback. Nick Foles is probably right now penciled in as the third string quarterback, making $9 million.
It's crazy. Well, that's because of everything else that happened before.
Right, but will they cut him or not? So. Yeah, I think Felipe's sitting in a good spot to be the third guy.
He is. Can he pick up the game? The speed of the game. Is he mentally enough to play at the NFL? You think he's got what it takes? Because in that league, at that position, as we've all seen with things that have been said about guys like Matt Jones, you have to be very, very, very smart.
Right, but here's the thing.
I'm not saying he's not, but that's been.
I think Felipe Franks makes. I don't even know who's on their roster. Like I said. I think he's going to make their roster because they're going to let him just sit around, and he may be on their team for 1 or 2 years, may never play a snap. I think he makes it.
Yeah, there's guys like that. I don't know when I find this tweet, I'm so possessed right now to find you this tweet.
Yeah, because they're wrong.
Okay. Well, I'm going to send it to you, and then you go through it. But I will find it.
Here's what will solve that issue is the best thing to do is once you get off the show today is Google minimum salaries in NFL, and it's slotted from like first year to third year. fourth year to sixth year, seventh year to like 10th year, and then 10th year on, you make it doesn't matter if you're a 25-year vet, if you're making the minimum salary, you're making that. So like I was a minimum salary guy my whole life. And it's interesting.
Which isn't bad.
When we look back at this draft, how many guys that got drafted last about 2.5 years? Because the average career of an NFL player is 2.5 years.
It's not long at all.
Realize that.
Yeah, it's definitely not long, but it can be long for some guys. I mean, some guys can last 10 years. And for some reason, I think linemen seem to have a longer lifespan than anybody. Maybe that's not true, but it's certainly longer than running backs and others who take hits a lot. We know some linemen who have lasted, for over a decade in that league. So it is a short career, but you can do a lot.
Yes, you can.
And certainly.
Anything else stand out to you in the draft?
Well, Saban, I know you guys get tired of hearing about Saban, but he's got more first-round draft picks than losses at Alabama. In how many years? 13? More first-round draft picks than losses. That, to me, is ridiculous. He's had 106 players drafted. 39 of those are first-round draft picks. 39 in the first round. It's very simple to understand how he gets these players from all over America to play there at that school in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And when you can go in there and tell mom and dad your process gets your children to the NFL, it's very, very it's very impressive because it makes them believe and with good reason that if you go play for Nick, however long it takes you to be a starter, because it took Mac Jones 3 years, you can still be a first-round pick or a second-round or a third-round pick. And if you're one of those 3 rounds, you're going to make a lot of money. So I just think it's sick. It's a crazy system he's got. It's worked. It's been the most impressive thing, I think, that we've seen in college football. More first-round draft picks than losses.
Yeah. Hey, Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. From now till May 31st, get our preventative maintenance plan for $169 and save almost 40% off the normal cost. Any maintenance schedule between now and May 31st, you'll be entered to win a Nest thermostat for installation. 2018, Atlanta Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan becomes NFL's first $30 million per season player after agreeing to a $150 million contract extension. He's probably now, about 12th on that list?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's many others. But QB, I wanted to mention one other thing, and that was, I don't know, did you mention the SEC Media Days?
Brent Beard and I talked about that.
You did talk about that? Okay, yeah. Well, he's the first one, July the 19th, which does seem like it's far away from here, but it's 2 months. It's only 2 months. And Dan Mullen, what are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at Ken here on Facebook Live. He says third-round picks from Bama take a pay cut.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's funny. But when he goes in mom and dad's house, they believe him, and that's why they send their kid there. And that's why the kid wants to play there. So we've got Dan Orgeron and Shane Beamer, followed by Kirby, Stoops, Kiffin, and Heupel. Then Saban, Leach, Fisher, and Clark Lee. And then wrapping it up, oh, what a day this is. July 22nd, you get Arkansas, Missouri, and Auburn. Okay. So
yeah. JC, we got a Facebook Live brought to you by Metal Law. John says, what are your thoughts on Trask going to Tampa Bay? I think it's a really good situation.
Great situation.
But I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative here. It doesn't guarantee that he's going to take over when Tom Brady retires. Because here's the thing. The Bucs basically, they had no needs. I think they were like the only team. They have every starter coming back. They had no needs, really. I can't remember who they drafted in the first round. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is, Blaine Gabbert's going to be penciled in as the number 2 guy right now. Now, Trask may play great in the preseason and elevate himself to number 2. But you got to remember, this league, they don't really care where they draft you, because let's just say Brady plays another 2 or 3 years. And then the Bucs have an opportunity to select another quarterback in 3 years. we don't really know, but I think it's a great
no.
situation for him. To sit there, I think Bruce Arians does a tremendous job. Obviously, seeing how Brady operates, I think it's a match made in heaven, but it doesn't guarantee anything for the future.
Right. No, he's going to have to perform. Yes, and he's going to have to perform. You mentioned the preseason. There's only 2 games now, so he's not going to have the time to get in there and mix it up in the 3rd or 4th game. It's just 2 games, so they're going to find out quickly if they put him in something anyway. But what I think would be interesting would be to put him and Tom at the goal line to see who could get to the 50-yard line first. I think Trask would beat him in a 50-yard dash.
I mean, Trask could almost.
He's only 20 years younger than he is.
Trask could be Brady's son, JC. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What I was trying to point out was that they're not the quickest guys on a football roster.
Neither one of them are very fast. All right.
That's right.
But it's just like Bruce Arians said. We don't draft quarterbacks to run. We draft quarterbacks to throw the football.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's going to benefit him tremendously to be in that quarterback room with that guy and Blaine Gabbert, who's been around for many years in the league, career backup, but a guy with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge about the league. And then to have Bruce Arians, who I think was the coach with Ben Roethlisberger when he was getting started in Pittsburgh. So that is as good as you could have hoped for if your name is Kyle Trask. I mean, think about this. He could have been drafted by the Houston Texans or somebody. So thank goodness for him. He got the right pull. And I think it's going to work out for him because I just think he's such an accurate passer that has so much potential that they'll find a spot. He'll find time one day. He will play one day.
JC, can you hang on for another segment?
Yeah.
We're waiting on Ira Kaufman to join us. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with the vehicle wrap from WrapSpot. May's your lucky month at WrapSpot. Actually, it is May. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. All right, we're going to take our first time out. We're going to try to get in touch with Ira Kaufman from JoeBuckFan.com. Talk about Trask going there. In the meantime, you're going to be stuck with me and JC until we get him. We're going to take our first time out of the program. You come back.
You're stuck.
You're stuck. You're stuck with JC.
You're stuck.
You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, WrapSpot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now through May 15th. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Skechers, and coming summer of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visors, Tailgate, and Rooftop Bar. We'll see you at Celebration Point. where the Gators go to celebrate. We're hoping to get Ira Kaufman from JoeBucksFan.com, and he also has a podcast, Bucks and More. We were scheduled to have him today. Still waiting on him to join the program. In the meantime, you got me and JC here. Titan MRI hotline. And I know JC is ruffling through his phone trying to find this tweet by this dude. All I know is nobody that makes an NFL roster is going to make $100,000. So that had to be a typo.
All right. Well, at any rate, I did watch some of that SC, to kind of recap what we spoke about there in the first segment, first 35 minutes of the show. We talked about my Gators of the weekend, Hannah Adams with the bat, Jack Leftwich with the arm. But I'm really excited to see how this month of May evolves with the SEC in baseball. I just think that we've never had a conference this stacked, and I don't think the SEC has ever been this good. As what we are seeing right now, coming off a COVID-19 off year, let's say. And with that ballpark they have out there, it just seems so different and so much more fun. And even though they're not at full capacity, just things that I look at when I watch a broadcast is people out there on the grass laying down and just having a great time at the ballpark, right? It's more than just maybe what's happening out there on the field. It sometimes could be just the experience that Florida is now allowing its fans to enjoy at the baseball venue. So this is really exciting, and I am gonna go to the regional if they host. I believe they will, but I think they could play themselves easily into a national seed, even though they're not ranked in the top 8. This is not the time you get picked. You get picked when the season is over after the tournament, SEC tournament. So if they can finish in the top 8, that guarantees home venue as long as they're alive, right? So that means that they would play a regional and a potential super regional at home, trying to get to Omaha, Nebraska for the College World Series, where only 8 teams go. So this weekend gave me real hope, because even though Kumar Rocker threw for 5 innings and allowed 2 earned runs, I like the way Florida approached it. I like the way they lit up Jack Leiter the next day, and I like the way they showed so much emotion in that game yesterday. Winning 5-3, going ahead 5-1, and holding on with Leftwich throwing that heater and that big breaking ball. And so, to me, Florida is tuning it up right now. This is the time where you want the Gators to play their best, because we're in May now. May is kind of like March in basketball. In May, you have to bring it and be at your very best, because postseason baseball is right around the corner. And Florida had just a really nice weekend against Vanderbilt, who is as good a team as any in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to get to be a top 8 seed, to be that host a super regional. I'm curious if it's going to come down to maybe 2 or 3 SEC teams for that 8th spot. And usually you don't really give a damn what happens in Hoover at the SEC baseball tournament. You just kind of go through the motions. If you win it, great. If you don't, but it may come down to
who plays
whoever
best,
wins the most games, or whoever wins that SEC tournament could get that one of those top seeds.
That's 100%. But and I know how the NCAA likes to try to do some geography with this and try to be geographically balanced. But there just is no balance with geography when it comes to the best teams in baseball. It's clear that they're in the Southeast, and teams are just going to have to travel to the Southeast, which last time I checked was not such a bad thing. So
we got a couple of Facebook Lives here. Brought to you by Mellon Law. John says softball already announced they are hosts. Well, softball is going to they're going to host Super Regionals. They're one of the top 5 teams in America. Ken says this limited capacity is ridiculous, like not having a spring game.
Yeah. Well,
here's what I do hope. If we know we're going to host a regional and a super regional in softball, hopefully they will allow, that will be in a couple more weeks. Hopefully they will allow that to be 100% capacity. And then if baseball gets there, hopefully they'll allow. So,
I just don't know. I don't know what the pressures are when you see other venues packed to the gills.
Well, I think it's where we live.
Which translates to the people making decisions of where we live, in where we live. And that could be political. That could be on a university administrative level. Whatever that decision making is, I think it's all together. It's all part of it. I think the politicians here locally and the university people have to both agree that would be safe for something that we could do. And having seen the examples of other schools doing it and knowing for a fact that these COVID-19 numbers are literally crashing to the floor because of vaccinations, then, you kind of got to think differently than what you might have been thinking a year ago. And I hope they do that for the fans' sake at the University of Florida. Listen, nobody says you have to go to these things, QB. Nobody says you have to go to these games. But
right.
I'm just going to flat out tell you, if I see other schools doing it with success and COVID-19 numbers literally clashing at those locales, I want to feel like the same opportunity should be allowed here, regardless of what your political slant is.
At Chris Doering Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doering Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Hoping to get Ira Kaufman from JoeBucksFan.com. Must have been a mix-up somewhere, but instead you get JC. JC, we got a text here on the Titan Lamar text line. It comes from Jimmy. Yeah. Jimmy wants to know our thoughts on Trayvon Grimes not getting drafted.
I was surprised by it. I know you don't think it's a big surprise, but I thought he was effective in his senior year at Florida and good enough.
That's true, but again, like I told you, there are going to be so many players in the country that these scouts, and of course, I think he can make a roster for a couple of years. Look, just because you don't get drafted doesn't mean anything.
That's right.
I didn't get drafted in I think it was 8 rounds when I came out. There was, I think, 12 to 13 quarterbacks taken.
Mm-hmm.
And I lasted longer than any of them except Drew Bledsoe. And I may have lasted longer than Drew. Now, they made a lot more money than I did because he was the first pick of the draft.
Yeah, but you had a job.
I'm sorry, I take that back. Mark Brunell got drafted, I think, in the 6th round, and he lasted 20 years in the NFL. So getting drafted, it's great because what it does is it gives you a guaranteed signing bonus. That's the only thing guaranteed. Doesn't mean you're going to make the roster. Doesn't mean a thing, but you get that guaranteed signing bonus up front. Yeah. Now, if you don't get drafted, or if you're like a 5th to a 7th round draft pick, and you play if you're a skill guy, your best bet to make the team is playing special teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the NFL is a 2.5-year deal, because what they do is they find a guy like, let's use Trayvon Grimes, for example, big physical guy who can run, a little stiff at times, but let's just say he makes a roster, make a minimum salary, which is going to be about $300,000. He could be a special teams guy for 2.5 years. And then what teams do is they cut that guy. They go find another young guy that they can pay $300,000. It's faster than him and younger than him. And that's how the NFL works. If you look at an NFL roster of the 53-man, there's probably 10 guys, 10 to 12, maybe 15, that are making more than minimum salary, or making a lot of money. The rest of your roster is made up of minimum salary guys, which is very good money. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that's why you see the cycle of players only lasting 2.5 years.
Yeah, no, listen, it is without question in my mind, not knowing any better, the hardest professional sport to play, and also the hardest professional sport to obviously be paid for a long time, right? Baseball players are making just absurd amounts of money for being pretty much marginal guys. Like, I watched some game last night for about 10 minutes, the Mets and the Phillies, and they got this guy Lindor for the Mets. He's a 185 hitter, and he's making so much money. He's making more money than anybody who got picked in the 1st round last week. So baseball, football is the hardest of all the 3. There are 4, I should say. And it's probably got the worst odds for survival, obviously. So, it's just the way it is. That's the nature of the sport. That's how it's played, and that's the way it goes. Baseball, it's hard to play in the major leagues and make a roster because you have all the minor leagues and so many more players involved. But and then there's basketball. And hockey. But football to me is the hardest. It's the hardest.
We got a couple of Facebook Lives here. Richard says that these are brought to you by Meldon Law. It's Gainesville and Alachua County. Good luck on full capacity.
This is what I was talking about.
Yeah. We all know. John says, I thought Grimes made Patrick Surtain look silly in Atlanta, which
I did too. That's what I was telling you last week.
But
that's
JC,
exactly what I was telling you last week.
But
here we go.
I think Pat Surtain was the best defensive back in the draft, which you can't. Okay, so with your analogy or your statement there, Did LSU make Kyle Trask look silly?
Did LSU make Kyle Trask look silly?
Yeah.
Well, I think
It's
Kyle
either
Trask.
yes or no. Yes or no.
I don't think he did. I don't think he looked
He
silly. I
threw
think
like
made some
3
mistakes.
interceptions.
Yeah,
my
but
point is, my
that's-
point is, you look at the
Yeah.
body of work. You know how hard it is to play defensive back. First of all,
Yeah.
Pat
No, it's
Surtain will be in the NFL for a long.
It's impossible.
time.
I mean, that's the hardest position on the field. There's no doubt those 4 positions are the hardest, I think, because of the rules. But I also know that I saw Patrick Surtain chasing guys a lot. So
I'm just telling you.
I don't know. I mean, you think he's great. I'll have to see it in Denver before I believe it.
think
because
he's
going to be
good.
seeing. He's going to see Pat Mahomes twice. He's going to see the Raiders twice, and he's going to see that kid throwing it all over the field
in
LA
You know
twice.
what's going to happen? He's going to give up completions. He's going to give up touchdowns because that's what every defensive back does.
Well, okay, look, you want to be the Denver Broncos who can't score any points and draft a guy who gets run away from? That's your business. You can do that. But if I'm the Denver Broncos, I'm not drafting a guy who's chasing people down the field. I'm drafting offense. That's, I mean, they're
here's
crazy.
the thing.
They're
I think it is June 1st. I believe Aaron Rodgers will be wearing a Denver Broncos uniform June 2nd.
I mean, that just came literally out of that big hill where everybody hits their golf ball. Okay. So that's the first time I've heard that. But if it's okay, I'll give you the 100%. May the 3rd. Is that what today is?
No, I said
May the 3rd. You said that. I know, but today's May the 3rd. So on May the 3rd. So on May the 3rd, in 1 month,
Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Denver Bronco.
In orange and blue.
It's going to be a Denver Bronco.
That would be good for them. That's for sure. That would be good for them. And it almost feels like Green Bay knew this a year ago.
Well, Green Bay's morons, what they are. I don't know anybody in that front office.
They drafted the kid from Logan, Utah to be on their roster in the first round is what they did.
Well, I know that.
Why would the hell would they do that? Because they also know what you just said, that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to finish his career in Green Bay. That's why they did that. So now we've got Denver trying to figure out what to do with their franchise because they suck. And you draft a guy who Trayvon Grimes is running away from. So, okay, you're happy if you're a Bronco fan. I think.
Let me tell you something. The whole.
He's an Alabama guy, too, by the way.
And I'm telling you, he's maybe the best defensive back that's come out of there in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, good
Eddie
Lord,
Jackson,
I don't know
Eddie
what
Jackson.
hell y'all watching.
Look, even though Eddie Jackson's a safety and he's a corner, Eddie Jackson was the best defensive back.
You're only saying that because the ball came to him on interceptions, tip balls, and things of that nature.
He also returned punts.
Pat Surtain is a legitimate NFL defensive back.
I know he's good. I know he's good, but he wouldn't have been my first-round pick if I was the lousy Denver Broncos.
Well, you got to remember, you got to look and see what's the best option for your team, Jason. You just don't draft just to draft.
Well, how about this option? Score points and try to keep up with Kansas City. How about that option?
Or you draft somebody to try to slow down those receivers, right?
Good luck. Because you know as well as I do, it's not the receivers. It's the guy wearing number 15. That's why Kansas City does what Kansas City does. So you can try and chase these guys around the defensive backfield all you want. Good luck with it because they're not beating Kansas City without offense, period.
Well,
you got to keep up with them.
It looks like we will not be joined by Ira.
You're not going to get Ira. Ira's not coming.
Ira's. You think Ira's – you know what? He's probably dead ass asleep because he's been worn out from the draft. Yeah. That's probably what it is.
I've had 2 weeks where I've had 2 golf tournaments, and I'm here, by God. I played in a member guest. I've traveled to the SIP. Why am I here then, QB?
Because
you want to talk about exhaustion? You want to? Well, there you go.
Oh, it's so exhausting playing golf tournaments. For all your in-depth Gator recruiting news, go to firstand10florida.com. Use promo code 2 for 2 right now and get 2 months for just $2. Firstand10florida.com, your premier Florida Gator recruiting news source. All right, JC. Yeah. So, all right, just book it. You know, I can be just like these idiots on Twitter. I'm just making a bold prediction that Aaron Rodgers will be playing. You know what? And I got a really good friend who's the new general manager of the Denver Broncos. I may just call him and see if that's actually going to happen.
He's a really good friend. Well, I would say that, Aaron Rodgers will have to, that would be the news of the summer right there. So I don't know. We'll see.
Let me ask you this, JC. Were you surprised that Marco Wilson got drafted? I think early fourth round.
No. Why would I be surprised?
Well, he got beat a couple of times.
Well, yeah, but people like you kept saying how good he was.
He's damn good. He's going to play in the league a long time.
Well, there you go. All I heard about Marco Wilson's the bad thing he did, but I'm sure he did a lot of good things.
He did a lot.
When I watched Florida football, I didn't really look at the defense much. I looked at that offense because that was the reason we got excited to watch Florida football. And yeah, they needed to get better on defense. They have to get better on defense. Because of who they're about to play this summer or this fall, rather.
So it all starts with the defensive line. I told you that was the issue last year. And that was the issue. All right, JC.
I know.
Go rest up since you've had a rough 2 weeks.
Oh gosh, I'll make it by Wednesday. Don't worry.
All right, we're going to take our final time out of the program. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this Monday edition. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
We're looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now through May 15th. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Center State Bank is becoming South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State will still have 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to thank JC. Sorry we didn't get Ira Coffin. We'll get him on. Just miscommunications, apparently. Tomorrow's program will be joined by Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus. Get all his breakdowns of the Gators in the draft and also who were the winners and the losers of the draft. We got a text here by Joseph on the Titan MR text line. What's more likely, Rodgers to the Broncos or me coaching with Kerwin Bell? I don't know. They both could be very likely. We shall see. Who knows? But today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.